Hey YouTube, how is everybody doing on this fine day? So in this quick video tutorial, I am going to show you guys how you can create a very simple pluck patch within Vital or any synthesizer of your choice really. Yeah, so let's get into it. First things first, I've got a MIDI chord sequence loaded in here with an arpeggiator, Ableton device setup alongside the Vital free soft synth. And it sounds like this. So we just got like a basic saw wave, and what we're going to do is we're going to actually just work with this and manipulate some of the parameters within the synthesizer to create more of a plucky tone sound. So first thing we can do there is lower the decay and sustain on the envelope 1, which controls the amplitude of this sound. So basically when we move these knobs, we are telling the synth how long to play the notes for. So if you put the sustain all the way up, every note plays for as long as it's held, and then if you turn it down, and turn the decay down as well, which tells it how long until the sound kind of fades out. We already are getting somewhere, so we can increase the release here if we want the note to kind of ring out a little bit after the decay phase is done. So that can be an interesting parameter to play with, and our attack is just how long it takes for the sound to come in. So the quicker we have the attack, the more plucky it sounds, and the longer the attack is set, the more the sound swells in. Now you want to be careful with the attack on some synths because you can get kind of like a click when the LFO or the VCO starts generating the sound. So that's one to watch out for unless that's a desired effect. So let's work with that for now. Now what we can do is we can enable a filter here, and I'm going to go to a ladder filter at a 24 decibel roll-off, low cut, and I'm going to bring the cutoff up, and I'm going to bring the resonance down a little bit, and then we're going to actually use this envelope here by clicking and dragging to modulate the cutoff frequency for the low pass filter. And basically what this is going to do is it's going to be like the settings you have set up here will tell the filter how quickly to snap down. So you'll have a lot of high-end information present within the signal at the start of the note playing, and then the filter will sweep down into the lower end of the spectrum, cutting off those highs. So it'll kind of accentuate the higher portion of the spectrum and create like more of a pluck. And the resonance gives you that kind of like alien-y sound that's typical in like a 303. That's just like altering the magnitude of that portion of the spectrum. So yeah, you can mess with that a little bit and find something that you enjoy. So we'll work with that. It's a little stagnant. We can assign the LFO maybe to, let's see, the pitch here. And let's go into the matrix and change this to bipolar so that the tuning of the first oscillator here is dependent on this low frequency oscillator. So when we play it, you can hear it kind of drifts in and out of tune. And we'll change it from trigger to, God, I don't even know what the correct, is it loop point, loop hold? Like I'm still learning this synth, so let's find the correct, there we go. Let's add another oscillator in here, and maybe what we can do is, I don't know, let's distort this saw wave a little bit using some of the morphing parameters here, and route it into the first filter, this button. And we'll also create a pitch drift effect here, maybe of a different amount using that LFO. So now you're getting some weird kind of phasing stuff going on, which sounds more interesting than leaving everything set and in place tune-wise. Let's try assigning another LFO here, running at like a different tempo maybe, to the smear amount. And we can add a little bit of white noise in. Make sure to route that into the filter. And maybe what we'll do is we can use this envelope to have a burst at the start and then have it kind of cut down in volume. And just blend it in to taste. And why don't we add actually another one here, another oscillator, and let's go to I don't know, let's mess with a square wave here. And maybe we can pitch this up and see what happens. So it's kind of cheese ball, but whatever, let's go with it. And let's have this oscillator pan this guy off to the right. We'll have the tempo set to something quick. Maybe have this oscillator, or yeah, this LFO, sorry, control the pan for this oscillator up here. And then this guy, have that go back and forth in the stereo spectrum. So you have one panning right, one panning left, one panning left and right. So now there's a little bit of movement going on, nothing too crazy, but we're going to kind of keep working away here and we'll come up with something interesting, hopefully. And let's change the pitch on this guy too, using this LFO. What we can do now is add a little bit of distortion to the signal to give it some character and drive, and add harmonics so that it's not so digital sounding. And we'll drive it to the point where we start to hear the sound kind of breaking apart, and back it off a little bit so that it's pleasant sounding rather than just harsh. And let's try adding a filter in post filters. So that gives it a little bit of extra character. Again, a lot of this stuff is very subjective, right? So what sounds good to me and what works on the headphones that I'm using or the monitors that I'm listening on might sound different on your system. Let's add a little bit of chorus to give some more stereo information. And we can change this to affect more of the mids rather than the lows. We'll keep that pretty subtle. Now let's add some delay, because who doesn't like a little bit of delay on an ARP pluck? Ping pong style with eighth notes. And we'll just just look at the spectrum analyzer here and see if there's any low-end stuff we want to cut out. Leave it like that. Be very gentle with it so we don't wreck the integrity of the sound. It still has some weight. So that's starting to sound interesting enough, and why don't we actually, after the delay, if we want to accentuate some of the notes that ring out due to the delay, we can use a compressor afterwards and set it so that, you know, the levels between the original pluck hit and the delay plucks are closer together, and that kind of gives this effect where the sound rings out longer. But if we place it before, then we're just accentuating the initial pluck, and then the delays, again, just do what they do. So here's after. So you notice how the delayed signal isn't quite as prevalent when you have the compressor before it. Yeah, and then let's go to the reverb here and see what we got going on. Cut some of the mud out. And if you want, what we can do here is assign some of these macro knobs to control different parameters on the synth to automate later on and create more interest into something that's very stagnant over long periods of time. So let's use this to change the filter cutoff. So now when you turn this knob, you can see the filter opens up. And if we want, we can actually use this macro as well to maybe control the, let's say, time here, and maybe the mix as well of the reverb. And we'll use it to control the mix of the delay too. So you can turn this one macro here and have it affect all of those parameters at the same time. So this would be kind of cool for, like, I don't know, near a drop or something like that. If we want, we can control the feedback too here, and maybe make that, oops. Come on, what are you doing? There. And sure, let's put some drive. Yeah, so that's just some of the basics. There's a lot of different principles involved here that you can apply to different waveforms. You can try different filters out. You can throw different effects in. You can make the sound more unison. You can alter the panning, the levels. You can, all of that fun stuff. So hopefully some of the principles that we went over today you can use. And yeah, take it easy.